at least the build-up of getting The Wiz to Broadway, was definitely one that was met with a lot of bumps on that yellow brick road. Hello fellow Aussians, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're looking at the latest issue of the Baum Bugle, the publication from the International Wizard of Oz Club. The Baum Bugle has been published since the club's inception, and is published 3 times a year. This is volume 68, number 3, the final issue from 2024. And this bugle focuses on the 50th anniversary of The Wiz, as well as the 100th anniversary of Ruth Thompson's 4th Oz book, Grampa in Oz. And just like my previous videos on the Baum Bugle, I won't be discussing everything that's covered inside this issue. I'll just be giving you a couple highlights. So with that, my first highlight from this issue is a fascinating interview with George Faison, who is the Tony Award-winning choreographer for the original Broadway production of The Wiz. The interview gives a great insight into how George became involved with not only dancing and choreography, but then also leading him to The Wiz. It sounds like it was quite a production. At least the build-up of getting The Wiz to Broadway was definitely one that was met with a lot of bumps on that yellow brick road. There were a lot of changing people in the production with the behind the scenes, and just like with a lot of other Wizard of Oz productions, it's amazing that it got made at all, considering all of the behind the scenes changing of hands and people that thought they were going to be having a certain role with the production, and then it ends up they weren't. It was a lot. It was a lot of that going on, so definitely a really interesting read. And my other highlight discusses Grampa in Oz. I really love seeing the Oz Under Scrutiny articles showing off the original reactions and reviews from back in the day when the Oz books were first published. And this one gave an interesting insight into at least the mindset of the newspapers at the time in 1924. Although Baum had been dead for at least 5 years, and now 4 of the Oz books were written by Ruth Thompson, it's interesting that newspapers still mixed up who wrote the newest Oz book. There was one newspaper that mentioned that Frank Baum wrote the newest Oz book. Fascinating. It's also interesting how many other newspapers didn't mention Ruth Thompson at all and just said, it's another Oz book. But there were other newspapers that made a point of talking about Ruth Thompson and how she's taken over the mantle of being the royal historian of Oz. And it's just interesting seeing at least how people were taking the Oz books being handled by somebody else, since this was her 4th Oz book. And while she definitely isn't L. Frank Baum, she certainly has her own style of writing the Oz books, which definitely set hers apart from Baum's. And it's interesting how the newspapers at the time were not really highlighting that and were just saying, oh, she's doing a great job continuing what Baum did, even though there are definitely clear differences between the two authors. And as per usual, the Baum Bugle comes with some extras. Now, the extra that I'm going to highlight for y'all is this green sheet, which discusses the International Wizard of Oz Club's National Convention, which is from July 17th through the 20th in Aberdeen, South Dakota. And why is the convention in South Dakota, might you be asking? Aberdeen is one of the cities that L. Frank Baum lived in. So part of the convention will be discussing Baum's connection to Aberdeen. If you're interested in going to this convention, I will provide a link down below for you to check out the website and, of course, register. And that literally just scratches the surface of what is inside this issue of the Baum Bugle. There's some really great articles in here that I didn't discuss, but those are for you to check out when you pick up your issue of the Baum Bugle. And if you're interested in getting the Baum Bugle, you can always join the International Wizard of Oz Club at ozclub.org. And if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. New videos are posted every 2 weeks on the 15th and last day of each month. And if that doesn't satisfy your appetite for Oz, follow the link in the description to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. Until next time, bye y'all.